What's up, guys? Let's talk about warm-ups. Hopefully you are not making these 5 mistakes in warm-ups. One of the biggest compliments we've gotten over the years is that we have an incredible warm-up. People who come from out of town or people who've done other programs before say they really like the way we do things. So we thought we would share the 5 biggest mistakes that we perceive people make in their warm-ups. So to start it off, Andrew, number 1.
Number 1 would be no warm-up at all. Yeah, just not a good thing. If you're going to go in and do anything that's challenging or explosive or heavy, you just want to be ready to do that. So kind of the goal of a good warm-up would be to wake up CNS, so kind of get your central nervous system stimulated and ready to go, decrease viscosity of tissues, so tendons, ligaments, and muscles, kind of get them ready to go as well, kind of provide a little length in them, and then get a little specific in some joint prep based on what you're doing that day. Yeah, leaving that out, if you're going to do something that's actually hard and challenging, you're just really leaving yourself open for some type of risk of injury.
Number 2, no attention to detail. So if you're doing, for instance, like a good old-fashioned tricep stretch, are you just kind of like hanging out here? Okay, my tricep is not stretching right now. Or are you up against a wall specifically angled in order to engage that musculature? Likewise, if you're trying to stretch something out, so if I'm trying to stretch out my bicep, am I just sort of casually hanging out here at an angle, or am I truly getting extension in that tricep so that I can get full engagement of that bicep? So if you're not treating it with a purpose, you don't have attention to detail, you're not actually stimulating things that you intend to stimulate, and therefore getting either no or diminished effect at best.
Number 3, failure to prep. If your warm-up really should be, you can have a general warm-up that's kind of a catch-all that's going to maybe get you ready to squat, but also go for a run and do a box jump and press overhead. The reality is, if you're going to do something fairly specific, if you are going to clean and jerk a heavy load that day, or if you are going to try and max out in your vertical or do a 40-yard sprint as hard as you can, whatever it may be, you want to prep the movements you're about to do. You want to get ready for that. So just kind of a general catch-all is better than nothing, but also prepping your warm-up and making sure that that warm-up is somewhat specific to what you're doing is very important.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. So I've been around, the country and actually the world. I've visited a lot of different boxes, and one of the craziest and laziest warm-ups I see is this idea of like, okay, let's just write some stuff on the board and go through, let's run and do 10 squats and then do that 3 rounds. Okay, it's not really a warm-up. It doesn't really prep anything in particular, especially if you have other things going on. So you might want to get a little more engaged than that.
If I could just piggyback on that as well, I think running can kind of, get the blood pumping and just decrease viscosity of tissues so things move a little better. If you're running for a warm-up, there's kind of 2 things wrong with that, in my opinion. Chances are you're jogging or doing something slightly above a walk, so there's no real range of motion in the hips or knees or ankles. And if you are going into a straight out sprint, so there's huge range of motion in hips, knees, and ankles, and good arm action and all that stuff, you're probably not ready to do that because you didn't warm up for that. So basically, if you go for a run for your warm-up, you're probably not doing anywhere near enough, or you're doing way too much and you're leaving yourself open for injury, if that makes sense.
I think it does. Number 4, too long or too short. So too short obviously goes back into no warm-up at all. So obviously you want to get some semblance of a warm-up. So let's talk about too long. So in this industry, there's this sort of like weird pissing contest that says something like, our warm-up is your workout. It's like, look, a warm-up is a warm-up, okay? You can only get so warm. It's not like you warm up for an hour and all of a sudden you have like amazing feats of superhuman strength. You warm up to get warm, to prep yourself for the things you need to do, and then you do the things you need to do. You don't just warm up incessantly and just get so warm. There's diminishing returns to a warm-up. So your warm-up should be somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on what you're prepping, depending on how technical it is, depending on how heavy or explosive or whatever. But if you're spending much more than 15 minutes, probably not making the best use of your time.
Another thing that, another variable as far as your warm-up length or the amount you warm up is how warm is it outside?
Yeah.
If it's 100 degrees outside, maybe you do a little bit less like true kind of warming up and just go right into movement prep and you're ready to go. If it's 20 degrees outside, things may take a little longer, so it can also play a role. It's hot right now, so that's why I bring that up.
Last one?
And the last one, number 5, not treating it like it's a part of your training. So kind of like, pushing it to the side like it's not really important. We kind of already discussed that, but I mean, it is your prep for your training that day. And if you are training something, if you are doing something that's actually hard and challenging, you should treat your warm-up like that. You should try and achieve kind of new ranges of motion, trying to achieve better positions, and basically prep yourself for what you're doing that day.
Yeah, go into it, have a plan, use a specific amount of time. Okay, I'm going to hold stuff for 30 seconds or whatever it is. Try and get those new ranges of motion, like Andrew said. Don't just treat it like the dumb thing that you don't want to do and you have to do. Okay, treat it as part of your training. Hope you guys aren't making those mistakes. I know that our folks, we are trying each and every day to make sure that they are in a good place with their warm-ups to avoid injury. So feel free to comment if you have questions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.